I'll also like to welcome two new members to the board that I haven't met before. Laura Craig Cronin.
Craig Coleman, yeah,
Craig Coleman, welcome to the board.
thank you.
And also Mr. James Testa. Is it Jimmy Testa, James?
Jim Test is good.
Jim Testa's good. Okay. I'd like to welcome you to the board and introduce you to the mic and Steve and Frank over here. Okay. Any arguments we have, we promise to keep our hands to ourselves.
Sounds good.
Okay. We all know Jennifer Battingsley, the wonderful secretary, and the building inspector. Okay, I'd like to start the meeting off. Wow, what happened here? Okay, with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I want you people to know that I was drafted this evening to be chairman against my better wishes. But I guess I was a senior member, so here I am. Pursuant to the law, I have to read this, what would you call it? Chapter first, disclaimer, okay, before we start the meeting. Pursuant to Chapter 107 of the Acts of 2022, this meeting of the North Andover Zoning Board of Appeals will be conducted in person and via remote means, in accordance with applicable laws. Specific information and the general guidance for remote participation by members of the public and/or parties with a right and a requirement to attend this meeting can be found on the town's website at www.northandover.gov. For this meeting, in-person attendance of members of the public and board members will be permitted. Members of the public who wish to watch the meeting live may do so on their televisions by turning to Comcast Channel 8 or Verizon Channel 26, or online at www.northandover.cam.org. Every effort will be made that the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time via technology means. In the event that we're unable to do this, despite best efforts, we will post on the Town of North Andover website an audio or video recording, transcript, or other despite best efforts, I lost my thing, or other comprehensive record of proceedings as soon as possible after the meeting. If the public would like to participate in public hearings but not attend the meetings in person, please email your questions, comment prior to or during the meeting to jbannersley@northandovermass.gov. The question comments will be read during the proceedings and responded to accordingly. Okay, we got that done. Acceptance of the minutes from previous meetings.
So moved. I'll make a motion to approve the meeting minutes.
We have a motion made by Steve Seidel, seconded by Michael, to approve the meetings. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so we got 1, 2, 3, 4. Jennifer, of these two people, who is the most senior?
Well, can they even vote to accept the minutes in a meeting that they?
Yeah, but, okay, right.
Well, Jim was
Were they
here.
here at the meeting, at the last meeting?
Jim was,
I was here, but I was not sworn in at that time.
He was in the audience.
Oh, okay. All right. So, acceptance of the minutes?
We've got 4 votes left.
Yeah, we're opposed, so, aye.
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 So the motion passes. Okay. Where's the agenda? Thank you. Okay, we're gonna have a new public hearing at 476 Great Pond Road. Mr. Clerk, Mr. Substitute Clerk. Can you-
Notice is hereby given that the North Andover Zoning Board of Appeals will hold a public hearing at the North Andover Town Hall at 120 Main Street, North Andover, Mass. on Tuesday, September 27th, 2022 at 7:30 p.m. to all parties interested in the petition of Edward C. Nyberger and Gail D. Nyberger, or Nieberger, I apologize, for property at 476 Great Pond Road, map 064.0, parcel 0022, North Andover, Mass. 01845 in the R1 zoning district. The applicants are requesting variances pursuant to Town of North Andover zoning bylaws section 195-4.19.c, construction of a new permanent structure only after a variance has been granted by the Zoning Board of Appeals, in section 195-7.4, Table 2, Summary of Dimensional Requirements in the R1 zoning district for the purpose of constructing a new single-family home on the lot. Specifically, applicants have requested a building height needing a relief variance of 3 feet. Building height proposed is 38 feet. Building height required per Table 2 is 35 feet. Applicant and supporting materials are available for review at the office of the zoning department located at 120 Main Street, North Andover, Massachusetts, on Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday from the hours of 8 a.m. to 4 p.m., Tuesday from the hours of 8 a.m. to 5:30 p.m., and Friday from the hours of 8 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. By order of the Board of Appeals, Ron R. Fagan, Chair.
All right, thank you, Mr. Clerk.
Excuse me, Alan, I just wanted to let you know Alexandra and Ron are both on Google Meet.
They're both on?
Yes.
Oh, congratulations. Ron, why aren't you here chairing this meeting?
No, his voice is not coming through.
I think that the camera is off now. On now.
Ron, we can't hear you, I'm afraid.
Okay,
I think we should presume he can hear us, but we can't hear him right now.
okay, so Jennifer, that presents me a little bit of quandrum. Who would be the voting members if those two were,
If they don't vote,
Ron, Alexandra, are you there?
So, yeah, they're
Someone's
trying to
trying
speak,
to
but
talk.
it's just not connecting to our speakers. But if we presume they're unable to vote for the meeting,
He's trying to talk, I think.
yeah, everything's working except the last bit to the speaker.
So, but who would the voting members be?
So we've got 2 out of the 3, right? 2 out of our 3 associate members.
3 are
Yeah.
here. Frank would be for, he's
So we get Frank, Steve, me, you, these two are associate, but if these two are in the weeds or online, what happens with them?
I think for the moment,
Typically, it
presume they can't
rotates.
vote.
it could be Jim or Laura could vote if we can't hear them.
So we gotta move on with this. We can't stay here forever, so we have to make a decision. All right, so not to ignore them, but I'm gonna say they're off the wall here, off the,
Absolutely.
okay, all right.
So Laura,
So Laura becomes a voting member? Okay,
Sure.
very good.
We've often done it rotating, so for the next one after this, it would rotate
Okay.
to 2 others, and
All right,
then
well, I just wanna get this thing up and running, that's all.
absolutely.
Okay, and I don't wanna ignore the people that are out there in Never Never Land. Okay, the applicant. Do we have anyone who wants to present for the applicant?
Thank you, board members. For the record, my name is Jack Sullivan. I'm the project engineer, owner of the Sullivan Engineering Group. I'm accompanied by Bill Bacchus, who is the registered architect for this project, and the homeowners are with us as well tonight. Gail and Ed Nieberger have owned this property since 1985, 37 years. It's a 4.2 acre lot. It has an existing barn on it, but it's basically undeveloped beyond that. probably most of you know where this is located, but it's a waterfront lot. It's by the North Andover Country Club. It's between the country club and the water treatment plant. And what they're proposing to do is construct their dream home, single-family residence. It's in the R1 Watershed Protection District. As I stated, it's a 4.2 acre lot, so it well exceeds the minimum 2 acre requirements. The way we situated this proposed building, we're outside the 250-foot setback from the lake. We meet all dimensional requirements as far as the front setbacks, side and rear setbacks. The lot has sufficient frontage, so it is a conforming lot in this district. The lot itself was created in 1991. We are here tonight to request zoning relief on the height of the structure. As you stated in the opening remarks, the maximum height is 35 feet in this district, and we're proposing 38 feet. As you can see from this site plan, we show 2-foot contours on this site. And from Great Pond Road to the lake, there's a change in elevation of 60 feet. So that some of this, it's a moderate to steep topography on this property. From the road itself, the top of the house, we have a max roof elevation of elevation 180. At the front left thank you, Bill. At the front left portion of this lot, there's an elevation of 174 to 176. So the top of this structure will only be about 3 feet higher than the roadway itself. At this time, I'm going to turn it over to Bill Bacchus, who's the architect, and he can get into more of the architectural features and how we calculated the height on this project. No.
Good evening, my name is Bill Bacchus. I'm an architect from Topsfield, and this is our front elevation. So I was really unsure how to measure this, so I asked the building inspector, and he said, measure from the 4 corners straight up to the highest point, which is 38 feet. And that's going to be your height. So that's what it is, and that's why we're here. This is an elevation of the back. The grade slopes down, so we're taking advantage of a walkout basement, and at some point, maybe putting a home office down there. And as you can see, the only part of the house, I'll go back to the front elevation. The only part of the house that's above 35 feet is this center section. This wing and that wing are both right at 35. There's a little addition over here off the master bedroom, and that's 21 feet high. The garage, which is the closest part of the house to Great Pond Road, the maximum height there is 29 feet. So we're just talking about this section right here. And somebody might say, well, why don't you just cut that off, push it down, do something to it to make it 35 feet. And if you look at the roof plan, if I can zoom in a little bit. There we go. These are all hip roofs. So it's like a spider web. If I push down on this roof, all these roofs go down. If I pull up on the roof, all the roofs come back up again. So it's kind of difficult to do, and the height of the roof, visually to me, in relation to the exterior walls, is really minimal. If we made this roof any shorter, I just think it would look right. And I'll get into why we have the exterior walls at the height they are. I think that's important. In North Andover, the building height is 35 feet. That's pretty standard. Most communities do have 35 feet. And I would say the bulk, even though most communities have 35 feet as their maximum height, the bulk of the communities in Massachusetts, and even I just did something in Portsmouth, New Hampshire. Portsmouth is also 35 feet. But they're measuring this 35 feet halfway between the eave and the ridge, where in North Andover, we're measuring it all the way up to the ridge. So this kind of a scenario would give you more flexibility. You can build a little higher building, and there's more possibilities. In terms of local communities, which have this kind of an arrangement halfway between the eave and the ridge, Andover, Middleton, Topsfield, Boxford, Georgetown, lots of communities have this kind of a situation. Typical wall sections. I want to show you why our building is fairly tall, and it's in relation to the way houses are being built now. On the left-hand side is a typical wall section. This is the way houses were built back in the 90s or 80s, 70s. For floor joists, we had 2x10s or 2x12s. We had an 8-foot ceiling on the first floor. 2x10s or 2x12s for the second floor. And actually, I can remember builders using what they call pre-cut studs, and the ceiling heights were actually under 8 feet. The attic floor joists were 2x10s, really 2x12s, sometimes 2x8s. And then I'll come back to this, but the roof rafters, when you're building this kind of construction, can actually sit right on the top plate. They don't have to sit up here on the top of the attic floor joists. All this brings down the height of the house. So if you look over here, today it's different. We have a foundation wall, which is about the same, but now, instead of 2x10s and 2x12s, we're using what they call TJIs, and let me show you what they look like. They're essentially wood I-beams, and they allow you to expand, to span huge distances. We're spanning like 24 feet. In a normal house, you'd have, actually built back in the 1990s, you'd have interior columns and beams and bearing walls all over the place. And the big thing about construction costs today is labor. And so if you can eliminate the footings and columns and bearing walls, also, people don't want small houses with small rooms in them. They want big spaces, so it allows for that. But also, these TGIs can get delivered to a site, and you can frame the whole first floor or second floor in a day. It's really, really fast. So, and also today, I'll go over back to this right-hand section. If you're building a custom house, the first floors are all 9 feet now. Nobody builds a house anymore 8 feet, unless you're a builder and you're building a spec house. So we have these long spans, and some people will say, well, gee, you can, instead of using, for instance, a 16-inch deep TJI, you could use a 12-inch TJI, just get a beefier member. But I checked with the lumber company, and they say, no, for your spans, you can't go any lower than 16 inches. 8 feet is the same in both scenarios for the second floor. And we also have these deep TGIs for the attic floor joists. And then these roof rafters have to sit on top of this attic floor joist, where over here it can sit on the top plate of the wall. The top plate of the wall on the right there is right at this level. So we're building a wall that's quite a bit taller than they used to be able to be built back in the 1990s. And the difference between these two typical wall sections is over 3 feet. This is our site plan. Down here, there's a little cross. I'll come back and I'll tell you about that, but you can see we have our driveway, the house, the garage, the existing barn. There's a lot of vegetation down by the lake and Lake Achitchewit. And this is a little bit closer. So here you can see the house and all the hip roofs all connected. And we have hip roofs over the garage as well. And there's a little drive that goes through here where you could come in if it's pouring rain or snowing and take groceries out of the car and all that. It's a really nice feature. It's extravagant, but it's wonderful. And here's the existing barn. And so this is that little cross down at the road, and this is the corner of the property. Now, if I stand right at that spot and we build this house, my eye level is 12 inches higher than the highest part of the house. So we're looking down at the house. We're not looking across at it or up at it. We're looking down. And actually, I don't even think you'll be able to see it from the road. So this is what it would look like. This is a perspective sketch. Here's the existing barn, the garage, the connection between the garage and the house, and Lake Achitchewit in the background. This is a little closer. And the last thing, or next to the last thing, is abutters. We have letters from 3 abutters. Actually, they're direct abutters, so they're right next to our property. And all 3 letters are positive. And in relation to the letter from the golf course, who's one of our abutters and our neighbors, he mentions tearing down a barn, which is, I just wanted to clarify that so you know what he's talking about. This is a picture of not a barn, but it's a run-in shed. And there's no wall in the front of it. There are 3 walls. I mean, when it was brand new, there were 3 walls and a roof, and animals could run in there. And you would have had paddocks all over this property for horses. I'm not sure what they had, goats, different animals. I know they had horses. So usually you'd have these run-in sheds, so if it's raining or if it's a really, really hot day, the animals can run in. And so this would be torn down. It's not, because it was built in the 1800s, and in order to tear it down, you need a demolition permit, and it's been a long process getting that. So when we get that, yes, sir.
I don't mean to interrupt you, go ahead and finish. And then
Okay, I just say that when we get that permit, it'll come down, but it's just been a long process, and the owners know more about that than me, but and that is pretty much it. So
So here's, this is just for my clarification. So I drove to look at the lot.
yep,
And clearly, I saw the commentary about the country club referencing the dilapidated barn.
yep.
So I went and I looked at it, and I saw the dilapidated barn. The dilapidated barn, I thought, was very close to the house that's there right now. So there was, as I looked down at 470 Gray Pine, it looked to me as though there was already a house there, and this barn was right next to it. So I'm just trying to get some clarity around the lot and where this house is gonna be built, please.
Okay, do you wanna, can you
Yeah,
wanna?
so Ed and Gail have an existing home. Is that, it's
Yeah,
like
there
a
was
white farmhouse?
Yes, correct.
So on the plan there, it's on a separate lot. They own two lots. So they have the 2-acre lot where the existing home is, and then there's a 4.2-acre lot that's separate from this. It had already been subdivided in 1991.
Okay,
So
thank you. Not to interrupt, but I mean, but that dilapidated barn was very close to that house, which is what confused me, or at least I
If you
thought
look-
it was from the road.
If you look at the pointer or the cursor,
Yeah,
that dilapidated barn is right about there.
Yeah.
I think, am I right?
The existing shed is just above the curb.
Right. But it's right there, isn't it?
Well, it's
right
right
there.
Yeah,
existing
right there,
two-story
right where the
wood
cursor
frame
is.
barn.
Yep,
There's
it's
a
right there.
box there that
Yeah,
already.
I called it a shed, but it's not
It's a
shed.
run-in shed. The animals
Okay,
just run
all
in
right.
there and
all right, I got it, thank you.
have shelter.
So that will need to be taken down though before you build the house, or you need that, right?
Yes.
Has to be.
I mean, there's some nice pieces of timber in there, and, you know, it had a round window, and, I mean, it was really well done.
A water spout came off Lake Cochipwick and took off the roof. And we had to decide whether to spend thousands of dollars to repair it or to demolish it. The town-
Please come up to the microphone so those who are watching on TV can hear it and talk right in
The water spout came off.
Will you please identify yourself for the,
My name is Edward Nieberger,
okay.
the applicant, and my wife Gail. A water spout came off Lake Cochipwick a number of years ago, took off the roof, and we were faced with either repairing it at considerable expense or demolishing it. We did save the arches in front of the stable building and the round windows because they were nice architecturally done in 1890. But this building itself, we tried to have it moved. The town didn't want us to move it, so we were faced with just tearing it down. So it's coming down. The next windstorm will probably bring it down. And the barn that's been referred to is actually the big, beautiful barn that we just spent over $100,000, my wife says more than that, to renovate. New windows, new doors, got rid of all the carpenter ants, new roof, gutters, downspouts. The barn is the large building existing on the subdivided lot. So that's what we call the barn.
Can I go back to a comment? So they have the two lots, the four plus and the 2+ acre lots. Who resides in the 4-acre lot?
No one,
No one.
a couple of woodchucks.
Okay, and then who resides in the 2?
We do.
That's, so, I mean, so you are already living there, it's the lot, you live in the White House that I saw?
The little white house, which we call the cottage, that has five pillars on the front porch.
All right, thank you, just.
Yes.
So, something I would like some help with is I appreciate all of the architectural considerations for why you feel the house needs to be 38 feet. But from a zoning perspective, what we care about is the soil shape and topography of the lot. And I appreciate that there's that point on the lot that is considerably higher, but I do not see how the topology or the shape of the lot requires that this building be 38 feet.
I can take that one. So, in my opening remarks, I noted the 60-foot grade change from Great Pond Road to the lake. So that's a substantial grade change. Also, I should note that over an acre of land is under a green belt restriction on this property. Nothing can be built in there. So even though it's a 4-acre lot, then when you have the green belt restricted area, setbacks to the lakes, we're really pinned in to where this house can go. It looks like a huge lot, but when you get down to it, we could only place this house in one area to get this to work. And when we started looking at that and how this would set and how it would look into relation to the land, even though it's a 4-acre lot, the shape of it and the restrictions with the lake, the green belt, and then the topography kind of set how this house would go. And then I think Bill gave a good overview of modern-day framing and how this should be framed in aesthetics and how they want this to look. You can see it's quite a house. They're gonna invest a lot of money into this. They'd like it to look a certain way, so I think just based on lot shape and topography, they do have a hardship. Also, in the definition, I think Bill did a good job in surrounding communities. I do a lot of work in Reading. It's to the mid-span of the roof, so this is to the peak. It's a little bit gray in the zoning bylaw on how height is even calculated. That's why we came and met with the building inspector and got a determination on that, and that's why we're here tonight.
I mean, I certainly appreciate the idea that our zoning laws are outdated, and that perhaps don't match those of other communities, but they are the zoning laws that we have.
Correct. I agree.
And hence, that's why people are looking for variances to correct the problems that are with the current zoning.
Sure.
I had a question. Why wouldn't you calculate it from the walkout basement? Why is it, because that adds like another 6 or 8 feet. So from the back of the house, you're much more than 38 feet. You're probably more like 44 or 45
That's the
feet.
building inspector.
Four corners, it's made from the four corners. We do four corners, not in midstream, we do four corner. It's the average of the four corners.
And the chimney does it.
No chimneys don't,
No.
aren't included in height.
And what pitch is the roof?
I'm trying to remember, I think it's probably
Pretty
about
steep.
12.
Steep.
Yeah, it's fairly steep. This, yeah, it has a certain character and style to it. It's, there's lots of buildings. The house of Seven Gables has a steep roof pitch like that.
Mr. Newberg, you like to add
Sure.
something?
Knee-burger, like a kneecap
Newburger,
and a hamburger. Knee-burger. In your packet is a picture like this, and it shows the proposed house in the middle, surrounded by a lot of grass, 4.2 acres, surrounded by the pinkish area, which has the neighbors, the abutters' homes laid out. And each one of those homes is a considerable distance. I stood there at the proposed building site today and looked around, did a 360, and I tried to see how many of the houses in this diagram I could see, and I could see only one. And that's a house directly across the street at 505, and those are the neighbors that gave us probably the warmest supporting letter of the three. Of course, the neighbor on the country club side gave us a supporting letter, and the neighbor on the other side gave us a supporting letter. Each of those homes are the one down here on the water, Walter Sachs, and the country club over on this side, and then the one directly across the street at 505, all gave us supporting letters, thinking that we would improve the neighborhood with this building. But none of the other houses can either see our building location, nor can we see them.
Could I just ask a point of clarification? Are the zoning restrictions to stay under 35 feet mostly about obstructed views or unattractive views for abutters? Is that sort of why it was set at that height? Or is it, I think you were saying, more to not overtax the land around the
I think
houses?
that's a very good question. If I had to answer that, and this is with no authority, as the young man said, most surrounding towns and cities, the maximum height is 35 feet.
Right.
So I think when the town of North Andover adopted these zoning laws, I think they looked to see what all the surrounding communities had for
Let's
a
do
height restriction,
Right,
and they picked that.
okay.
But it's a tough question to answer without being in the town meeting where it was proposed, which was probably about 50 years ago.
Right.
Alan, can I jump in here for a minute?
Absolutely. Alex.
Hey,
Where are
welcome.
Yes! The goddess has arrived. I was listening to everything that was being said, and I fully understand about being supportive of it. But kind of like the question I was just asked, the zoning law is kind of the zoning law, and I gotta say, based off of the size of this house, I just don't see. I truly can't see the need for the 3 feet. I truly can't. It's very hard for me to grasp.
especially when looking at the blueprints of the inside of the house, it looks like everything under that tallest point in the roof is straight down to the bottom of the first floor. Am I wrong about that? Like the floor, the first floor as you enter the house, and then that goes all the way to the top of the ceiling?
There's a two-story space
Right.
in the back part of the house.
Now, what are we talking for ceiling height? First floor and second floor?
First floor is 9 feet, which is pretty standard for a custom house, and second floor is 8 feet.
Well, except in that,
And what, is the attic a walk-up attic?
The attic will be all HVAC equipment. That's the way they're done now. And you provide heating and air conditioning for the whole second floor from the attic.
And what's the attic height?
It varies from nothing to, I really don't know what it is at the ridge, but it's just a slope space.
And what's the height of the great room in the middle there? Because that's the part that is both floors in one big space,
Yeah, well,
right?
it's just the first floor is 9 feet, second floor is 8 feet.
Plus a couple
Yeah,
feet for the floor.
Probably 17, 18 feet maybe total, which is the most.
As Michael brought up, soil shapes topography is really what we look at, and I understand that there's a lot of unbuildable land, but the size of this house, we're not talking, a small home where this 3 feet is going to be, really beneficial because it's such a smaller home. This is a very large home. So the want for the 3 feet, I understand the want, I don't see the need.
Alex, I would have to disagree with you on that. If you look at the house, it's an exceptionally large home, and I don't mean to pick on the neighbor next to it, but as you're on Great Pond Road looking down at the lake, the house to the immediate left, and I don't mean to use names, but I think it's called the Manzi home, that big brick home, okay, that looks there, which is quite large, which overtakes the whole lot, okay? In order for him to get this house to look nice, symmetrical with the neighborhood, with all the different roof lines, as he stated earlier, it only makes the roof lines all come together. Okay, and it makes for a nicer home. All right, and when you're building a home like that, okay, he's not putting a mobile home on the lot, okay, he's building a beautiful home, and he'll like to see all the roof lines come together, so it's an attractive home. Like, either you see it from the lake or you see it from the street. He's gonna be next to a big monster house, and he's got the country club over here. We're talking about 3 feet on a big home, where you can't even see it from the street. Okay, I mean, if you could see it from the street, I mean, if it was right there, okay, when somebody was on a bicycle and they looked, said, boy, look at that house, okay, it's 3 feet over, okay? Someone's gonna look at that house and say, wow, what's that guy paying for taxes?
Okay, except for
Okay, I mean, that's the way I see it.
But Alan, the zoning law isn't, well, this will look nicer, 100%. That's not, I don't see where we basically give them these 3 feet and go against the zoning bylaw for that.
Alec, the reason why this board is here is to grant exceptions. Okay? And
I understand that, and I
if we feel
don't
this exception is
see- I
warranted,
don't
then
see
the
the
board
need.
will pass it. If the board doesn't feel the exception is warranted, then the board won't pass it. But this is a means for a man
And
to
I am-
come, okay, with a amended plan, who wants to rock the boat a little bit, and come to us and have it voted on.
And I'm just saying, you're 100% right. I am one person on this board that does not see the need for this type of home for the 3 feet. And that's just where I stand on it.
Well, that's your
And
opinion,
there-
Alex.
Plenty of people on the board may disagree, and it may pass, and that's fine. I just personally don't see the need for 3 feet for this home.
Okay. I think your point has been stated.
Alan, can you just
Well,
read
you know-
Pardon me?
We like to disagree sometimes, and that's okay.
Bring it closer. Okay. Any other comments from the board?
Well, does there have to be a need in order to grant a variance? I think they do have the topography as an issue to deal with, and I think that everything else complies, And in the effort to make, you know, a grand and beautiful home on the lake, I think it's worth, without, it doesn't disturb anyone else. I think it's, there's a value to the town in doing that as well. So I think it doesn't have to be just because there's a need of the only way of building it to justify that.
And it's only one peak. I mean, if you look at all the different peaks here, okay, you're talking one peak, all right, on the entire home. Okay, anybody else?
Do we want to see if anyone in the audience is here?
We're gonna get to that.
Okay.
Anybody in the audience would like to have a comment on this?
Can I just make one quick announcement? Can everybody on the board just lean into your microphone when you speak, please?
Okay.
They're having trouble hearing you.
Okay, I'm sorry.
That's okay, we'll bring it closer to you.
Okay. Does anybody in the audience have any say in this matter, would like to express their opinion?
All right.
Hearing none? Any of the board members have anything that they want to say?
I guess I am a little unclear on, when it comes to, you know, whether or not to grant it, if there is, so is it just our opinion about whether or not it's disruptive to grant the variance, or is there?
Well, that's kind of subjective, okay?
Okay.
Okay, do you think there's a flagrant violation of the zoning bylaw?
I guess I don't know what that means, like, if there were a violation, that's what the initial zoning bylaw denial is about, right?
We're here to break the rules.
Right. We're here to ease the rules.
Gotcha.
Oh, okay, bend the rules, not break the rules.
Well,
Bend the
But
rules.
we're
So-
here to decide if we feel that the rule as given is unreasonable for this case.
Gotcha.
So,
And we can grant an exception for that purpose.
right, so when we say it's the zoning bylaws permit 35 feet, well, the zoning bylaws also permit this board
Right.
to waive certain things.
Well, no, I understand. I
So
think
we're
I'm-
within the guidelines of the zoning bylaw.
But it's
I
all
understand that we
subjective.
can, but I mean, in terms of like deciding whether or not there is like a significant hardship versus significant disruption to the people around us, like, is it just whatever we're feeling in that?
It's our judgment.
Okay. All right.
I kind of look at things and I say, when I look at this, and the tax revenue is going to derive for the town, and I say, is this a compliment to the town, or is this a detriment to the town? Okay? Now, if you've driven by there and you see the buildings to the left and the buildings to the right, to me, this fits right in. Okay, it's not like going into Pleasant Street or someplace, you know what I mean, or Chickering Road and putting this house. To me, it's a beautiful lakefront property, okay? They're enhancing the value of the property and enhancing the value of the town. And I think that's a wonderful thing, to be honest with you.
Gotcha.
So just
And if you ask someone like me, I'll sit here and say that they can build a beautiful home at the 35 feet.
Well, yeah, but see, Alex, here we go into the argument. I think they need the 3-foot variance so the roof lines are all symmetric. Okay, and you're
Why
not
can't they
degrading the
bring the-
value of the house.
Why can't they bring the roof line down?
Well,
I mean, listen, we're not talking about a property where the shape is so awkward that they can barely fit a modest home. This is a huge home.
Well-
They can still build a gorgeous home in the 35.
you know, Alec, this is where it comes into the argument. I like chocolate ice cream, you like vanilla ice cream.
I know,
okay.
and listen,
Okay, so
you
we all
threw
have our
out-
different opinions, Alex. I think your
and
opinion
you
been
threw out yours,
stated.
so I just threw out
Right.
mine, that's
Okay,
all.
yeah, and it's duly noted.
So I have a question that.
I want to make sure it's duly noted.
Trust me, it's duly noted.
So the term was used, when the roof was described, you used spidering, holding it together. So my question is, if it wasn't 38, okay, and you told us first level is 9 feet today with the custom houses. So if it wasn't 38, hypothetically, if it was 35, does that mean that the 9 foot, that if it was 35, that you could not have a 9 foot first level and 8 foot second level within the house?
What that 38-foot roof height signifies is the width of the house. Now, that's the widest part of the house. There are 2 long wings. There's a fat section in the center, and then a wing on the other side. The wings are right at 35 feet. this is a wider section because that's the living area, that's where people are spending time, the kitchen, you know, all of that, dining. And so in order to come down to 35 feet, the center of the house would have to be smaller, and you would lose, you know, a lot of square footage. I don't know exactly how much, but you'd lose 7, 8, 9, 10 feet of room.
Okay,
And that's the,
yeah, just wanted to understand
okay,
what the cause and effect is.
yeah.
So on the bottom of the plan, it says, average building height is 37 feet?
38.
If it's, I think it meant to say 38 is what it's measured to. We're measuring to the
Well,
highest
On the
point.
bottom of the plan, it says average building height is 37 feet.
Right, I think it's a mistake, a misprint or something.
I
Okay?
mean, I don't see that, I mean.
You don't see
looking at
that?
actually 29, 35.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Bottom right
If-
corner.
But the
Yeah,
bottom
yeah,
right
no, I
corner of
see
the plan
it.
says the average height is 37 feet.
I-
So if
I-
the average height was less than 35 feet or
would be
35
much
feet,
easier.
it would be different.
Right.
But if that's wrong, then that's,
It all depends on the 100 different ways to measure
No.
anything, and so,
I understand that.
Yep.
But that peak is not very long, right,
Okay.
is what you're saying. Everything else is 35 feet. The garage is 29 feet. You got a wing over on the left that's 21 feet.
yep.
So I don't see where 37 feet is the average height. I just asking the question. Because if the average height was 35 or less, then that would be an argument on your side. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. I'll just tell you quickly a little scenario. In Portsmouth, New Hampshire, they have a very complex zoning bylaw, and they ask you to go right around the whole house. Every 5 feet, you do a vertical measurement. And if you have a sloped roof, at the end of the house, you're measuring to the gutter. As our roof goes up, you measure, say if you're coming in 5 feet, now you're measuring up to where the roof is sloping up, higher, higher, higher. So in a situation like that, it would probably be, you know, if we measured this house like that, would be less than 35 feet. It all depends on how you measure it, and so, you know, what I did is what I was told to, and you take the four corners, go up to the highest point, and you're at 38 feet. That's where we are.
You were told to be the building inspector?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah.
All right. Do we have anybody in the audience that would like to share anything? At this point, I'd like to make a motion to close the public comment.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Excuse me one second. Do you understand what that means?
Yes, that, everything is,
Discussion
is over.
Right, the discussion is over, okay.
Yeah,
Right.
so we should figure out who's actually
I
voting.
was gonna say, since Alex is on the call now, is she the
Yeah.
voter?
Is Ron there as well?
Ron should be able to be on since I'm on.
Yeah, there we go.
I cannot vote, I did no site visits, but I'm referred to, so I'm just observing.
Okay, you're just an observer? Okay, you'll need to speak up a little bit more for us to hear you, Ron, but I think
I'm yelling, but yeah, I am just an observer tonight.
Okay.
Okay, so just to clarify for the record, the 5 voting members are going to be Alex, because she's on thing, myself, Michael, Stephen, and
Frank, probably.
Frank.
who's Frank?
Frank Aquila?
Right, well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right, okay, I'm sorry. All right. Discussion amongst the board members.
And that includes you guys, by the way. Even though you're not voting, you still get to discuss.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess I'm supportive.
I won't add anything because it's pretty clear where I stand on it, so I won't waste time.
I think Alex's opinion is widely known. Me, perhaps I think my opinion is widely known, okay, I don't see any problems with it. For, as you said, that small little section of the building, right? All the rest of the building is well within 35 feet.
So I do-
Anybody else?
Based on the plans, it does look like that small little section, although it's small compared to the house, is like 30 feet. which is like the width of my entire house, for
But when
instance.
you
So I
look-
mean, it's
Yeah,
just
it's-
to bring it in perspective.
it-
It's small compared to the house that
It's
is being
considerable.
proposed.
I
Yeah.
agree, I agree, it's different, but when you look at what we're looking at,
Right. No, I understand. I'm just saying,
Right.
just to clarify for if someone has a little difficulty visualizing, like it's a considerable in terms of literal
Yeah, I
space.
understand.
Yeah.
But I think this is a location in town where a considerable space is warranted and, you know, adds value to the town and fits in. So I'm supportive of it. I wouldn't want to minimize it just because of, you know, the zoning bylaw, when we have reason to grant the variance because of topography and whatnot, and it doesn't impact anyone else or, you know, the abutters are supportive of it. So I wouldn't want to see it diminished for, just because we feel, that, you know, if there's no need, then it can't be.
Stephen?
Yeah, and what I would add to what's been shared here is the fact that there are no abutters who are opposed to it. No one is here, but we do have letters. That's a favorable sign for me.
We have butters that are opposed?
I'm sorry?
We don't.
No, we don't have butters opposed.
I think
We
that's
have-
what he's saying.
The fact
We have
that
butters that are approving of this.
That's what I said.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't catch it that way. Michael?
Yeah, so I go back and forth on this. You know, from one perspective, I appreciate that if you're standing on the edge of the property, it's not blocking anybody's view of anything, so to speak. On the other hand, if I stand at the back end of this, we're not talking 35 feet, we're talking closer to 50 feet, right? Because there's another floor in there with the shape of the land, and that, you know, if anything, this is the measurement method is favorable to the building.
To the applicant.
To the applicant. And I would say that, you know, I'm definitely appreciative of Alexandria's point that this is an enormous house and they have a lot of flexibility with the way that they could design it. You know, you could definitely make a design that only is 35 feet that would be completely reasonable and completely fine and that everybody would be happy to live in. But the sort of the last piece of the puzzle is I don't know who this impacts, right? That nobody around it seems to object for reasonable reasons, and so I don't know, like I don't know who is hurt by the presence of this building, and so when it's sort of a victimless crime, so to speak, I'm entitled. I tend to give it a little bit more leeway. So this is sort of my deal.
Laura?
Yeah, I think that all makes a fair amount of sense. I guess the only question that I would have as a relatively new member of the board is, does this set a precedent of like how close do the abutters have to be? Or is it just whether or not they've heard about the meeting and are expressing upset about it? Like just in the future, would this,
It does not require us to grant any
Sure.
variances in the
Right.
future, so it's
Sure.
not a precedent.
Every
in that
application
sense.
I
stands on
understand
its
not
own
in a legal
merits.
sense. I guess I mean.
Every application stands
Right.
on its own merits.
Yes, I understand that it's not in a binding sense, you know, like a legal precedent. But I guess that would be my one hang up still, is sort of like, you know, if someone else comes with a very similar project that has a closer abutter or one abutter who just is a little bit more grumpy, you know, does that, like, where do I draw the line? But I think that that can come up as it comes up, and this has been a really good discussion, and I think I would lean towards saying that it's kind of a no harm, no foul sort of situation.
Jimmy?
So we do factor the abutters'
Right.
opinions into it, and if there had been an abutter who was opposed, we might be having a different discussion.
Right,
So in the future, if that happens, then, you know, that'll,
right. Thank you.
Jimmy?
Yeah, I don't have any questions. I guess.
Okay, sounds good. Okay. Gentlemen, I think it's time to call a vote. Mr. Clerk, will you read the variance, please?
All right, so I move.
Mr. Assistant Clerk, by the way.
I move that we accept the requested variances of Edward C. Nieberger and Gail D. Nieberger for the property at 276 Great Pond Road, North Andover, Massachusetts, 01845 in the R1 zoning district, asking for variances pursuant to the Town of North Andover zoning bylaw, section 195-4.19.c, construction of a new permanent structure only after a variance has been granted by the zoning board of appeals, and section 195-7.4, table 2, summary and dimensional requirements in the R1 zoning district for the purpose of constructing a new single-family house on the lot. Specifically, the variance of the building height, needing a relief variance of 3 feet. Building height proposed is 38 feet. Building height required is, per table 2, is 35 feet. And we are referencing plans by, for the Nieberger residence, draft date 7/5/21, A2, A3, A4, there's an A5, A5. Are there any other plans that we are referencing here? There is.
I think you should reference the site plan of
Yes, the site plan
April 15th.
dated, yes, April 15th, 2022, with the outline. And I don't think we need to reference this guy here, right?
I think by the Sullivan Engineering Group.
Yeah, I don't think we need to do
No,
this, right?
I don't see that.
All right. Good?
We good? Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I will call the roll of votes. Alex, you're first. Yea or nay?
Yeah, nay.
Jennifer?
Did somebody second it?
Oh, somebody needs to second the motion.
Somebody needs to second
I'll
the motion.
second it.
The motion is seconded by Steve.
All right.
Sorry about that.
Alexandria, would you like to?
Alexandria, you're first.
Nay.
Alan Kuchar is yes. Michael?
Yes.
Stephen?
Yes.
Frank?
Yes.
It passes 4-1.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
The town needs the money, build it quick.
That's 37 years of property.
Good luck with it.
Good luck. Okay, you just went through your first big vote here, huh?
Yeah, it's
See
exciting.
that, who knew,
One down, two.
huh? One down. Okay.
I had one, she gave me one also.
All right, let me.
Oh.
Here we go.
Okay, we all set here? Hold on one second, this is the clerk. Mr. Clerk,
All right.
can you do your duty, please?
I just want to ask if the applicant is here, is it Jan or Yan? Jan. All right, thank you. Notice is hereby given that the North Andover Zoning Board of Appeals will hold a public hearing at the North Andover Town Hall at 120 Main Street, North Andover, Massachusetts, on Tuesday, September 27th, 2022, at 7:30 p.m. to all parties interested in the petition of Jan Oliveira for property at 170 Pleasant Street, map 070.0, parcel 0020, North Andover, Massachusetts, 01845, in the GB zoning district. The applicant is requesting a special permit pursuant to the Town of North Andover zoning bylaws, section 195-4.12.I, daycare center by special permit in the GB zoning district for the purpose of using the property as a daycare. Application and supporting materials are available for review at the office of the zoning department located at 120 Main Street, North Andover, Massachusetts, on Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday from the hours of 8 a.m. to 4 p.m., Tuesday from the hours of 8 a.m. to 5:30 p.m., and Friday from the hours of 8 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. By the order of the Board of Appeals, Ron R. Fagan, Chair.
Excuse me, before we get started,
Sir.
Jennifer, can I ask you a question, please? When somebody submits an application to the zoning board, are all the materials and documents and plans supposed to be at your application?
Yes.
Okay. In this particular case, all of the supporting documents were not at your application?
Correct.
Okay, I'd like to continue this to the next meeting. I was handed these plans tonight, and I haven't had a chance to look at them. I understand some of the members of the board haven't had a chance to review them, so I'd like us to sit there, see what we're gonna be voting on, and take it from there. You should have submitted the plans along with the application.
There were a set of plans that were submitted, but they were not stamped.
So if they
You
were not
didn't see
stamped, they
them,
were not
though.
legal.
You didn't see them.
Okay, so they weren't legal. Fellow board members, how do you feel about that?
Alan, what plans, documents is this that?
The floor plans, Alex.
A1 and
I think they
A2.
were,
A1 and A2.
have board members not had a chance to review?
Not until about a half an hour ago.
I mean, I saw it when it came in the email 3 days ago.
Oh, so 2 days ago?
Right.
It came
I
in
was
last
gonna
Friday.
say, Jennifer sent things via email.
Well, these plans should have been included in the original application, and they were not. To me, that's the bottom line. They were not submitted with the original application.
I don't know if there was a mistake, but these plans that I'm holding here with the stamp on it, I submitted them a while back with everything. I brought everything in, I made all the copies. I don't know if there was a mistake or confusion, but these are the plans that I submitted. And that wasn't just a week ago, that was a while ago.
You submitted those plans?
Yes, sir. Like this
I can tell you right now, that wouldn't have been accepted.
Yeah, well, not these, not like that.
Well,
But what I'm showing
telling
is
you
got the
what-
stamp on
What
it.
I'm looking at right now.
Right.
Well, anyways, I'm only one vote.
Is that a copy of what you
Well-
submitted, or is it literally the paper type?
No, so everything I submitted, I handed off.
Gotcha.
To be
So it
given.
wouldn't have been in that form.
No, it wasn't in this form. No, this is just for myself. It's just an example.
Is that the floor plan or the site plan?
Floor plan. It's got the floor plan. It's got the HVAC plan, plumbing, electrical, and all.
Okay, these are probably 72 hours ago. We got them electronically. I will say that I tried to look at it, and because it was multiple pages, it was difficult, and when Jen said she was gonna give us hard copies,
Yeah.
I didn't try to figure it out on my computer screen. Okay, now, my question to you
Yes, sir.
is what you are holding up, and
Yeah.
you said you have submitted, is it exactly what we've been received here tonight?
Exactly that, yeah, with the stamp.
Okay, well then,
with the
then
stamp.
there appears to be some confusion.
I-
Go ahead.
So, excuse me, so everything that you submitted in your packet was mailed out to you guys a week ago.
Yeah.
So, over a week ago. So that is the actual package that we received. The architect reached out to me after I mailed the package, with additional plans. And that's what I circulated to the board after. So the initial packet is attached to the special permit application. So all the documents are attached to that he originally submitted and is timestamped. So the 2 pages you got tonight came after the packet was mailed out to you.
I mean, might I ask a question of the chair?
Yep.
Which is, given that there is not, as my colleague over here pointed out, they're not requesting a variance on any dimensions of the building or anything like that. Would you consider this application without these documents?
Well, if you people want to go for it, we'll go for it,
It's a question.
Yeah,
This is
but-
what I'm gonna say.
okay? If you
5
people,
days ago, I received the architectural plans, the floor plans. I received that 5 days ago. We've taken applications and heard them with less time before. And the fact that they're not asking for anything in terms of structural of the building, it's literally just asking for the allowance of a daycare.
Well-
I can't see why we don't hear this tonight.
okay, well, I am looking at my package now, okay, that was given to me, and I don't see anything that includes the floor plan.
But you got an email 5 days ago, Alan, from
Okay,
Jen.
I got an email 4 days ago. Sure.
No, it was, I'm looking at it.
All right, what,
I'm
okay.
looking at the
We'll-
email. It was
we'll-
sent on the
We'll
22nd.
continue with the hearing. Sounds good.
Thank you.
Like to open the hearing?
Yes, sir. My name is Gian Oliveira. I represent Pro Warrior Painting and Construction, and I'm here today to speak on behalf of Lori Ann Messina for Little Learners Children's Daycare.
So you're the builder?
Yes, sir.
Are the owners here?
Yep. Yes, sir.
Okay.
They are back there.
Okay.
So Lori Ann has been in the business for 35 years. She's a lifelong resident of North Andover. So plenty of experience there. She actually runs another daycare right now in North Andover, and they're looking to open another location to accommodate more children.
So this is an additional location rather than moving the current location?
Yeah, they will be moving eventually into
Okay.
that location. So,
Okay,
yes, sir.
And closing the previous one at the Baptist church, I think, right?
yeah, the Baptist church, yeah.
Is that my understanding?
Oh, so you're not gonna
It would
close
be
that one,
both.
so it's gonna be two sites?
To accommodate additional children.
Gotcha,
Okay, so you have
okay.
two sites running concurrently? Okay.
Okay.
Where is the first location?
Mass Ave and Chickering Road in the First Calvary.
One at a time.
Why don't you come to the
Would somebody
podium and
please
identify?
come up to the podium and say where it's at? Your name for the record, please,
My name is Lorianne Messina.
and your affiliation with this?
I am the owner.
Okay,
I'm the owner and director of the daycare.
very good.
So
And
the
where
previous
is
location.
the first location?
The first location is located at First Calvary Baptist Church. We rent
What's the
7
address?
rooms, 586 Mass Ave.
586 Mass Ave?
Before that, I was located in my home on Waverly Street.
So 586 Mass Ave, so you're operating out of a single-family home?
No, that is a church now. We went from the home.
586 Mass Ave is the church?
586
Okay,
is the
yeah,
church.
all right, very good. Sounds good.
And to be clear, the plan is to have both.
To
The
have both.
long-term plan, yeah. Okay.
Yes, as long as we can have enough for
Stuff
both
and-
children, yes.
Sure, yeah. Great.
Is that it?
Okay.
Okay.
All right, so there's no plans to expand. We're not expanding the footprint. We're not changing anything when it comes down to that in the building. Everything we're doing is interior pretty much, other than there will be a 6-foot privacy fence. There will be a playground outside, but when it comes down to expanding the building, we're not doing any of that. It's mostly interior.
Mr. Building Inspector, is there any requirements for a playground and daycare centers?
Requirements?
Yeah, no, okay.
Like setbacks or anything?
Like setbacks,
Is that,
so much open space, free space?
they can have it all inside.
Okay, just ask, yep.
Yeah.
Are there any other licenses or permits that you need to operate the daycare? And you're handling those? Yeah, you should answer up there, I guess.
Yeah.
No, they probably wouldn't.
It's all licensing through the state. I have to follow all the regulations through Mass Early Childhood.
But
And you're-
there's no other boards in North Andover you're gonna
No.
go in front of or anything
No,
like that?
nothing.
Okay, and do you have all those licenses, or you need to get this first?
It has to be completely done and furnished before they will come out and license me.
Okay, thank you.
Just out of okay.
As long as you're there.
Yes.
So, I drove by the building, okay, so This is formerly where, I'm going to say, a physician and Leahy
Yes.
Clinic were,
Yes.
and that your business has no association, affiliation with, on the other side of Hafner's?
No, we are
Okay.
completely separate.
Okay, thank you.
They are corporate, I'm independent.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question, which is I also drove by the building, honestly, completely by accident, and then I was like, oh, that's the building. And I noticed that the parking lot is not, it's not very easy to navigate. Almost like a third of the parking spots just go straight into the building, and you'd back out onto the road
Yeah.
that comes right off of Great Pond Road there. I imagine it's kind of trafficky, especially early in the morning when people would be
We
dropping
only
off.
have traffic in drop-off and pickup, that's it.
Right, so I guess my question is, do you have a plan for how to flow traffic while people are doing that drop-off pickup?
They are going to park in the front, the staff is going to park to the right, and on the other side, we're going to have the playground.
Okay, and that, cause like the floor plans I think that we just got seem to indicate there'd be like 90 children.
Yes.
So like,
So it's usually between a 3 to 4 hour period of drop-off.
Gotcha.
And then a 3 to 4 hour period of pickup. So
So
it's
there's
not
not
like
90
everybody
people.
arrives at 9 o'clock.
it's not like a
Exactly.
school where there's like
No.
lines on,
No,
in theory, maybe Great Pond Road,
No.
like waiting.
no,
Okay.
no. It's all, the number of students, like I might have 10 parents drop off at 6:30 in the morning. I might have another 10 at 7. I might have nobody till 7:45.
Gotcha.
So it's different times between the drop-off of 6:30 to 9.
Yeah, and in your experience with the one that you're running at the Baptist church, like what is the most amount of people that are kind of dropping off all at once?
Maybe 4 or 5 at a time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm a parent who had my kids at that particular daycare
Gotcha,
for
yeah.
8 combined years, and I've never seen more than like 7 or 8 parents there
Yeah.
at a particular time.
Yeah.
Unless like there was a closing, like, you know what I'm saying, like
Right.
a snow closing, but even that, nobody would come at the exact same time.
Right.
You know, it's a very variance of numbers. Some kids come 6 hours, come 10, some come
Gotcha.
9. So there's no specific
Okay. Yeah.
high traffic time.
Great, that was my big concern, because I've
And,
been on like roads where there's schools and I've seen how far the
Right,
traffic
right.
backs up.
But it's a pretty main road, and that is what I had liked about it for the pickup and drop-off. There is not a lot of, you know, where it was a doctor's office, it was already somewhat set up for us, so it wasn't in a residential area.
Right, yeah.
And to add to that, in one of the parking spots, places where you would park in front of the school, where it would be drop off and pick up, just in that one little area, there's about 18 parking spots
Yes.
alone.
Right.
So that'll be more than enough to accommodate 4, 5, 6, or
Right.
7 people
And they won't
jumping
have
off.
like
They won't
15
have to back
people all
into
trying to
traffic.
go
Or,
back,
no,
back, yeah.
no,
That's
it's plenty big.
fantastic.
Yeah, and there's like parking on both sides. So,
Great.
yep.
I can't imagine it'll be any harder to get out of there than getting out of the
Yeah.
church.
It's harder at the First
Right.
Gallery because of the
Right,
chi-
yeah, that's a
the
tough-
the
that's a
school's
tough
right next to it.
intersection, right.
If anything, it'll be easier at this
Yes.
one.
My point.
So.
Great.
So just from my curiosity, hours of operation and number of kids that you anticipate serving?
Again, with the COVID effect, we've had a little bit of our hours have changed. We are currently 7 to 5:30, where we were normally 6:30 to 6. I don't know, because of COVID and still all the regulations that we're following, if we'll go back to 6:30 to 6. We do have a lot of town teachers, so we're hoping to go back to 6:30. So that's my outcome of hoping 6:30, but right now it's going to be 7.
And number of students?
Probably up to 90.
I'm sorry,
90,
90?
yes.
Okay, thank you.
Are you leasing the space or do you own it?
Which one?
The space here on Pleasant Street?
I own it. I purchased it.
Okay, so if we grant this, I was more concerned if you were leasing it, I guess.
No,
but
I own it.
the,
I own it.
This would apply if you were to sell it. Is this still in place?
Do they need it, would a new owner require another special permit? Is that your
Yeah.
question?
I believe they would.
But
Yeah.
I wouldn't think so. Once we grant an address a special permit.
No, because
I don't plan to sell to another daycare.
It goes to the address.
It goes to the address.
It goes to the address.
So it's not like the in-law thing, okay.
Alex,
No, Alan, remember, a few months ago, we had a daycare come to us that wanted to open in a church. Remember when Alan was still on the board and there was the concern of the towers? That location had been a daycare prior to, and the new owner had to come in front of us because she was taking it over. She didn't buy it.
It was
So she had to
abandoned
come
for
to
more
the
than
zoning
2
board.
years, you lose it.
So, okay.
Yeah, same as.
Alex, you hear the building inspector? The building inspector is saying that if it's been abandoned for more than 2 years, it loses its
It goes
variance.
back to the original.
And it goes back to the
Okay.
original intent.
All right, so I was half right.
You're close.
I did have another question, which is, I didn't understand from the previous, like, from the original packet that there would be an outdoor playground. Is that
Yes.
the case?
Yes.
So, I didn't see any, any messages from abutters. I don't know if there's abutters here tonight, but, okay. I guess that would be my one remaining concern is, like, noise on a playground and people nearby being upset by that. Is that a concern for anyone else? Am I the only one?
There's a car wash
Well, you have
next to
Hafner's,
Yeah, yeah, that's true. Yeah, it's
There's a
different,
car
different kind of
wash, a
noise.
gas
Yeah.
station, plenty of businesses
And it
around.
also,
Yeah.
it won't be late at night.
Yeah,
That's true. I will say I've been through many, many car washes, and I've also heard children
yeah.
loud and not known if they're having fun or dying. So it's a little different, but yeah.
But there's also the daycare on the other side of Happiness, right? So
fair.
Right.
those
There's-
people, some of the people that are affected from this one are probably
Also.
affected from that one as well.
Good point.
So,
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's right, there's the one on the other side.
the other
yeah.
side, right?
There is, yeah.
It's gonna be known as Daycare Corner, huh?
There we go.
Daycare Corner.
Now just get rid of Hafner's and put it.
Put a bigger one in there.
There we
We'll
go.
have to go to half this, right, so you can have,
Use that as a playground, like they can pull up the gas and do the car
I was
wash.
gonna say field trip, right?
That's right.
There we
That's
go.
right.
okay.
So the outside playground is gonna be on the left side of the building? Is, you gonna remove
Left.
some hot top?
Yes.
Yeah, so if you're facing the building on the left side,
So you take up some of the hot top there and
We're
put
not
it in
gonna
there?
take up any.
we're not gonna
hot
take the hot top, we're actually going over with a 2.5-inch rubber protection for the playground. So
The drains.
that drains, water just drains right through it, goes underneath it, so it doesn't change any water to where water flows or anything like that at all. Everything stays the same.
Okay.
Is there anybody out in the audience that would like to have, say their 2 cents worth? Okay, one at a time. Somebody in the back? Your name for the record, please.
Joyce Segalis. I reside at 171 and 173, and my property faces the current building that's already been there for years. I've been a resident since 1962. I'm not opposing, I'm 81 years of age, but I do have some, just some concerns with the board, and some of the members have already answered. It's a very dangerous corner there, and one of my concerns is it's a very narrow area where there is parking. A car comes in, it's right to the end of the street. So we're curious as to what the plans are the children going to enter in the front of the building from the Pleasant Street side? Or there is a back entrance over there, I'm just not sure. They're saying that there's a playground, but I don't see from my perspective where I live, where they have the room for the playground. Everything, there's no sidewalk, it goes right to the street. The big problem that I feel for is on the corner of Pleasant Street there, on that side of the street, it's a two-way road. Coming from off Pleasant Street in the other direction, it's a one-way street. There's no street lights there. We don't have it, which we desperately need. There's accidents there all the time. And if it's going to be staggered, I know I'm jumping all over the place, but I'm not here to object, I'm here to question. Seems like there's already been construction there. I would assume the building inspector's been in there because they've had a security system put in, and I've seen people, you know, banging in there, and that's perfectly okay. I want to be a good neighbor, and we have a need for the children in there. But I was told when I had some building done about 4 years ago, that is a historical area. I was forced for my remodeling to buy windows for $1,500 because they wouldn't change their altering because we were historic. So I don't know if it has been rezoned for that. It's never been a commercial area. It's the only thing we ever had, if you want to call it commercial, is there was a doctor's office there. Prior to that, there was a drugstore. So it is a residential area.
You want me to answer that for you? It's general business, it's zoned general business on that
Okay.
side. I think Joe's building, the next one
All
over.
right, so
in
then
one.
that has changed since my 5 years ago, then when I bought the house in 1962, I'm the one that has a lot, two lot, in the area over there. It is, it's not the best of the house. I'm not implying that in any way, but they told us we could build a house. When we went to apply and asked the question, they said, no, it's been rezoned. So I'm not worried about the technicalities. I'm worried about the children that might be, that are there. So if there is going to be a playground, is there in your plan, is there fencing so those children cannot get out of that area? Because kids
yes,
are going to
ma'am.
run.
Yes, ma'am. To answer your question, there is a 6-foot privacy fence that will
Okay.
go around the entire thing.
All right, so is that going to go around the building, in front of the building? Where's the fence
So
in
the
the
fence
front?
is gonna go, so if you're facing the building, I think I know where you
Yeah,
live.
you know where, because
So-
my front door is their
Yeah,
front
yeah.
door.
So if you're facing the building, right to the left side where the parking lot squares off, where it turns into a big square.
Yeah.
So from the corner of the building all the way down to the other, the guardrail that goes down, that will be fenced off, and it'll be all the way around.
Okay, because,
So that's where the playground would go.
all right,
So it'll be
then
completely
that
fenced
answers
off.
my, and the only other last concern I had in my mind was,
Yeah.
in their parking lot that they own, it's constant traffic with people because there's a mailbox there, and everybody turns in their yard. So I just
Yeah.
want to make this, I'm aware of that, so if
Yeah.
there's some fencing
So
or
that's why the
some
security
signs,
system now, so
then-
that's
all
why.
right, it's,
Yeah.
well, that's good. I always thought it was on candid camera all the
Yeah.
time. I'm a little too old for that.
No, that's why the security system.
All right, well, so
Yeah.
that's all. You've answered my concerns and questions.
Well,
That's
I
all I
do
have.
have one that I want to follow up from this kind lady is, which entrance will people be entering from?
The front.
The front, okay.
The front.
So from the front, so they'll be dropping off their children, they're not parking.
So they would
But they
park.
potentially should park, bringing a child into.
So they
Yeah.
would park. There's 18 parking spots at the
Yeah,
front.
and that's what they should
that's
be, and I'm
corralled.
sure the owners can encourage the children's
Right.
guardians to walk them out by hand if the staff is not able to do that. I'm very concerned because they speed down that road, and there's always constant breaks going on there. I'm retired, so I get to see all the good stuff.
Yeah. Yes,
But as
ma'am.
long as there's some security being put in there, you're addressing those
Yes, we
issues. And I know now there'll be 90 kids. Be a little different from not having anybody there for all these years, but that's okay.
Yeah.
That's progress.
Yes. Yep.
All right, thank you
That's right.
all for your time.
And thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you. Is there anybody else that would like to say something? Mr. Levis? Oh, excuse me, you want to? Okay, thank you. Mr. Levis?
Good evening. My name is Joe Levis. I'm actually direct abutter to the left of the property that we're discussing tonight. That building's been empty for about 2 years, and it is in need of a lot of repairs. And I had the opportunity to meet the new owners. They came to my office. My office is next door. Told me what they were doing. They're actually, I didn't realize they had a facility in North Andover already, which is great. And they actually live in North Andover. We talked about what they were doing and all their plans, and I was a little concerned at first, but I feel very comfortable with them. And, you know, the fact that that's all gonna be fenced in, there's gonna be kids there, there's a huge demand for this. I think everyone's aware of that. I mean, they have a facility now that they're running, obviously they're doing well, and they want to expand in North Andover, which again, I think is great. As far as the noise from the kids, honestly, we get more noise from the car wash, from the boom boxes with the rap music, and all summer long. And we don't complain, we just close the windows, we turn the air conditioning on. You know, I'm definitely in support of them. I think they seem like great people, they got a business going on now, and I think it would be a real asset to the community. I'm definitely in favor of it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else that would like to have something to say about this? Hearing no other people that want to say anything, I make a motion to close the public hearing. Motion's been made and seconded.
Aye. Aye.
Sorry, does that mean I
Aye.
can't ask any more questions, or is that just the
No,
public?
no.
Oh, yep, sorry.
For the public only.
Well, but if you want to ask a question, now's the time to speak up.
Right.
Okay, yeah, I do want to ask a question, which is, in front of the building, is there a walking space between where the end of the parking spots are and the building, so that people who park in front of the building don't have to walk on the street side?
There will be a
Okay,
pedestrian area there
okay,
that
yeah,
separates.
Yep.
great.
And it is marked off on the ground as well.
Right, so that
And there's
people
a-
don't
there's a
pull
little
all
ramp.
the way forward and then
No.
feel.
No. Yeah, there's a sidewalk
Great.
there, so they couldn't do it if they wanted to.
Great.
Unless they want to scrape the bottom of their car, that's on them.
Yeah, there's like a curve, you mean?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, great,
Yeah.
perfect. That's the only question.
The public comment is closed?
All right.
Yes?
Yeah.
Okay. Gentlemen? Yes, public comment? Yes, okay. Now, deliberations amongst ourselves. Any comments? Let's start with you, Mike.
I'm for it. They're, you know, like my kids have been at this particular daycare. They've done a great job with my kids. Kids come out of it pretty well prepared. We need more childcare. I think they're great people to have running more childcare.
Alex, how about you? What's your 2 cents on it?
I have no objections to it. I mean, obviously, they know what they're doing.
Sounds good to me. Steve?
I'm in favor of it.
Frank?
I'm good with it, yeah.
I have no problem either. Mr. Clerk, will you read the, will you make a motion, please?
Yes. I apologize. Here we go. All right. I move that we accept the variance of Jan Oliveira for the property of 170 Pleasant Street, North Andover, Mass. 01845, requesting a special permit pursuant to North Andover zoning bylaws, section 195-4.12.I, daycare center by special permit in the GB zoning district for the purpose of using the property as a daycare. And referencing the submitted lot plan, lot line adjustment plan dated 11/29/17. I think that's the only plan that we really need to reference. That way it sidesteps the other issues. Yeah, there we go.
Okay, gentlemen and ladies. Alex, how do you vote?
Can I just,
Yes.
Oh, Frank, were you gonna second it? Is that what you're doing?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry.
no, I
Yeah, somebody has
check
to
who's
second the
voting
motion.
this time among the alternates.
Okay, well, first of all, let's second the motion that Michael did. Do we have a
second it.
We have a second, okay. Now, it comes down to, we have the 5 people.
Well, Ron, I don't think is voting.
Yeah, but Alex is.
Right,
Well,
but
in the
Frank
pa-
is
in
an
the
associate
past,
member
The
still.
alternates have rotated, so if I voted on
Yeah,
the first.
yeah, but you're a regular member now.
No, he's
No,
not.
I'm not.
Oh,
I'm
He's
not.
still an associate.
So,
oh,
He was the odd one
so
out.
when there were 3 of us were alternates, if one of us voted on the next hearing of the night,
Okay.
another one would. And then-
Hang it like that.
I don't know
So-
if that's
Give
what
them
we're
a
doing.
chance to vote, period.
so he's gonna vote, and,
Well, you voted on the last one, right? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'll vote on this one, and then Jim will vote on the next one if we do.
Yeah, if
Works for me.
Jen's, she usually tells us who.
Okay,
all right.
great, Jim.
Michael?
Aye.
Alex? Alex?
Aye. Aye. Aye.
I got you. Steve?
Aye.
Stephen's aye,
Aye.
and Ellen is an aye. It's unanimous.
Oh,
Thank you very much.
thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you very much.
I mean, I saw how it was going.
Yeah.
Sometimes we just say
I,
Obviously, I'm just.
Alan, do you want to announce or should I do?
I'm just waiting for the,
That's wonderful.
okay.
Nice
The
job.
next public hearing, Alan Kusha, I am gonna have to excuse myself. I have had some personal business dealings with Mr. Byers, who represents the applicant, and we're gonna appoint Mr. Michael
Liz.
Liss
It's all good.
as the acting chairman. Good luck.
All right. So, Mr. Saidi, if you're up for reading the announcement?
Okay, the legal notice. Notice is hereby given that the North Andover Zoning Board of Appeals will hold a public hearing at the North Andover Town Hall, 120 Main Street, North Andover, Mass. On Tuesday, September 27th at 7:30 PM to all parties interested in the petition of Hassan H. Goles, manager of Al Renyan Group LLC for the property at 15/17 Ferber Avenue, parcel 0083, North Andover, Mass. 01845 in the R4 zoning district. The applicant is requesting a special permit pursuant to the Town of North Andover zoning bylaws, section 195-10.7 and subsection N2 and N4 of this section for the conversion of an existing dwelling to not more than 5 residential units in the R4 zoning district. Specifically, applicant is requested to demolish the existing 2-unit structure and construct a new 3-unit structure. The applicant is requesting a variance pursuant to the Town of North Andover zoning bylaws, section 195, attachment 3, table 2. Summary of the dimensional for a front setback in the R4 zoning district for the purpose of demolishing the existing 2-unit structure and constructing a new 3-unit structure. Specifically, the applicant has requested a front setback needing a relief of 11.4 feet. Front setback proposed is 18.6. Front setback required is 30 feet. The applicant is requesting a variance pursuant to the Town of North Andover zoning bylaws, section 195-4.3 N.2D, residential dwellings in the R4 zoning district for purposes of installing a driveway for the proposed 3-unit structure. Specifically, applicant has requested a side driveway needing a relief variance of 6.8 from the lot line. Proposed is 3.2 feet, required is 10 feet, and a rear driveway needing a relief variance of 8 feet. Proposed is 2, required is 10. Application and supporting materials are available for review at the office of the zoning department located at 120 Main Avenue, North Andover, on Monday, Wednesday, Friday from 8 to 4, Tuesdays and Thursdays from 8 to 5, and Friday from 8 to 11:30 a.m.
All right, thank you, Mr. Saidi. All right, so I think I know we've got a lot of new folks here, a lot of folks who probably haven't been to a zoning board meeting before. I take it you guys have all gotten a little bit of the flow up until this point. It's gonna go kind of similarly. We're gonna start with the applicant. They're gonna tell us a little bit about what they want to do. We're gonna have some questions for them. We will open it up to you guys. I hope everyone appreciates that right now it's 9 o'clock. And I want to make sure that everybody has a chance to have their voice heard. But I also hope that you guys are able to respect your neighbors and their need to go to bed at night eventually. But I just want to give everyone an idea of the way things are going to flow. All right, take us away.
First, it's a special permit of variance. Are we doing one before, which one?
Well, that is an open question. My assumption is that we could consider them all simultaneously.
Okay.
If you prefer to have them done in a particular order, we can do that. I think because the folks here would want to speak on any one of them,
Sure.
I think we would have one set of public comments for that. But
Okay, no, that's fine.
Okay.
And my name's Attorney Rick Byers with an office here in North Andover. representing the applicant, who's here tonight, Hassan Golis. And sitting next to me is TJ Melvin, the engineer, and David Choi is the architect. So basically, this is a two-family on at 1517 Ferber Ave. And what the applicant would like to do is knock it down, as what you said, and build 3 units, 3 individual condominium units. It's an unusual lot. If you talk about it's got frontage on Upland and frontage on Ferber, which I don't think many other lots in town have frontage on 2 streets. The part on Upland has been undisturbed. It's just kind of overgrown, as the neighbors probably know. And the 2 variances that we're asking for, one is for the driveway along with, is currently a driveway now, but because of the conversion, we need a setback on the driveway on the side. And the other one is for the front setback. Because between engineering and architectural, we want to try to center the project in the middle of the lot, as opposed to where the property now, the structure now is really, if you had a chance to drive by, it's in the back on the left, kind of in the corner. One of the goals, and we decided to try to put the parking in the back, only to try to, instead of having garage, which I know most people don't like to see in town, we thought by putting the garages in the back and putting the front porch to try to make it less of 3 individual units. So that's what we came up with, and the plans reflect that front porch, which I know in the past, former board members used to want to see a front porch like a farmer's porch. So that's really why we, again, put the garages in the back. And we didn't want to do a 2-way driveway onto Ferber because we would have needed a huge variance for that. And that's why we went with the 1-way off of Ferber and 1-way onto Upland to try to avoid, first of all, it'd be too narrow of a driveway to have a 2-way driveway.
So it would go, just from my understanding with the 1-way, it would go in on from Ferber and
Yes.
then out onto Upland?
Yeah.
Okay.
In the garage, so when you come off of Ferber, if I'm understanding this correctly, you are driving past the structure, and the garages are in the back.
Yes.
In the back. So when you then leave the garage, you're going out. Okay, so.
Yep, to avoid a 2-way in and out.
There's also a 1-way out onto Ferber, right? On the other side of the building?
Yeah, sheet,
No.
well, sheet A100, the architectural sheet,
Yeah.
does show a driveway out.
In on the left, out on the right? Is that changed?
1-way in, 1-way out. 1-way in, 1-way out.
Yeah, 1-way in, 1-way out, but like 1-way in on the left, 1-way out on the right, correct?
Yeah, so it shows it going out onto, 2-way onto Upland, and off of Ferber, 1-way in, and on the other side of the building, 1-way out. Sheet
On this
A100, if you look at that.
Is that?
A100.
This is what we're looking at here.
So my name is TJ Melvin with Millennium Engineering. I'm the civil engineer for the project. That was an option that we had looked at. We may not have updated the architectural plan, site plan.
So we should not consider this, is my way of
Correct.
understanding that.
Yes.
Sorry about that.
Our most recent, or our plan moving forward, we like to talk about is the variance plan that was submitted, showing a 1-way in off of Ferber. It kind of wraps around the building, as you mentioned, with the garages in the back, and then a 1-way out to Upland. So it'd just be the left side of the structure on Ferber, and then it kind of hugs the property line and it exits onto Upland.
So if I might ask, I'm sympathetic to the notion that you've got a very odd-shaped lot here that is sort of broken into 2 pieces, but what is your thinking behind why the property is entirely contained on the one that's, I guess, on the left-hand side of this map, versus either splitting it or having it all in the other one? What was I'm sure you've thought about all versions of this, and so I'd love to.
You can't have 2 structures on one lot.
Even if one of them's the garage?
I guess we could have done it, yeah, I didn't even, a
Okay,
separate
so-
structure. We're trying to avoid building more on upland, we're trying to stay away and leave that more as green space.
Okay, I appreciate that. It's
No,
helpful
but-
to understand because
But originally, you're right, Mike, they came to me, they wanted to do 2 structures with 3 units in each, and yeah, right away, we can't do that, so.
okay,
but,
right.
yeah.
So that I get. I'm just I'm thinking about the fact that the sort of the harshest variance you're asking for is the parking lot, the driveway coming close to the edge, and that if that was sort of solely coming off of upland onto a garage area there, that would solve at least that part of the problem. I don't know if it causes issues for floor
Right.
area ratio and things like that.
No, it's a great idea. No, I didn't, but yeah, we were trying to just leave upland, and the area on upland as open space.
Okay.
For the tenants, or the owners to share.
So on the, just out of curiosity, so the diagram identifies that upland is 20,000 square feet, half an acre.
Mhm.
What is the size of the lot that the house is on and that you're suggesting you tear down?
That is the entire lot. The 20,000 is the entire property.
Both combined.
All combined?
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay.
It's one, because it's really one lot.
Okay, thank you.
So, building inspector, could I ask you a question? Sure. In a theory, where they could put the garages on the upland side and then move the entire building back, because they would no longer have to have the driveway going around the back, what's the rear setback requirement?
30.
30 feet also, same as the front?
30.
So they wouldn't be able to move that back.
Right, that's a trick. It's a puzzle.
Is this a good moment for me to start bringing in folks from the audience?
So the driveway that's being proposed, that is, it doesn't exist today, so this would be.
There is a driveway there now, actually.
There is.
Yeah, around along the side, where that driveway is gonna be, yeah.
But it stops at the existing house.
Okay, and so my question here has to do with the neighborhood and if there's going to be more, if land is going to go to now be asphalt, is there drainage, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so I mean, this really has to do with the driveway and the asphalt and the impact. Has there been any foresight given to ramifications of if that was asphalted, if there's an implication to neighbors?
We have not done a,
No, at this point, we haven't done an actual site plan, but looking at any potential offsets, we could, do some type of roof runoff mitigation. That's really the biggest impervious aspect of the site. So we could either look at doing some sort of drip edge or chambers, and maybe offset some of the parking with an infiltration trench.
But what you're telling me is, yeah, it's a to-do if this proceeds. It's not been done today.
Correct.
correct.
Thank you.
What does that get reviewed by? I mean, you go into the planning board for site plan approval or anything like that?
Yes.
Oh, you do?
Yes.
You do, okay.
Yeah. We would be going to planning.
Is there a plan for snow plowing and snow removal? It just seems like there's, on the left side of the property line, there's also a building really close, right?
The abutter's garage, yes.
Right.
Well, we do have that back area on upland where they could always, push snow to that area, I guess.
Forward.
Yeah,
I mean, as someone who's done snow removal, that's very hard to just like scoop it up and push it forward. You need like a bobcat or like a front end loader to just push a whole column of snow straight forward.
Certainly, yeah.
So
Some
plows have
winters
to go to the
I've had to
side.
do that in my driveway, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So plows have to go to the side. So I mean,
Right.
short of having like a construction equipment, it doesn't seem like there's a kind of plan for where the snow would go if you were having it just plowed by a regular truck.
Yeah, like you mentioned, ideally, you know, if you're coming in off Ferber, you kind of have to angle the plow left and utilize the little bit of 3 feet you have for some storage and kind of keep going right towards the bend as it hooks back towards Upland. Kind of push some there, maybe back drag the parking in front of the garages, but it's definitely won't be a quick in and out by any means. But there's definitely room, it's just a matter of what means they'll have to use to get it there, because really coming in, as you mentioned, through Ferber, it has to go somewhere. So if they have to, you know, look at getting a machine in there to pull snow off after we get a couple snowstorms, then unfortunately that's the route they're gonna have to go just to maintain the driveway with.
I mean, I'm seeing a lot of abutters here,
Mhm.
and I've driven the equipment that we're talking about to move the snow. There's flashing strobe lights, there's lots of noise.
Yeah.
I
At
just
3
kind
a.m.
of doubt that we're gonna get the support for that if that's the only way to remove snow, but,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
Just a thought.
yeah, as I mentioned, I think you could get a good amount of it. You could work to, you know, push some of it through, put a little through the pervious space between our lot line and the driveway, and likely going up to Upland, kind of, at that point, angle the plow right, push everything into the lawn, essentially, for the 3 units. Then you would have to either push some of the snow off the back, off the I guess, plan, towards the bottom of the plan, the right-hand side of the building, kind of utilize all the space you can.
And the driveway in the back goes all the way to the right-hand property line? Or does it just go to the edge of the
No.
building?
There's some space from Ferber to the right, there's some green space there.
Okay.
Yeah, so there'd be about 17 feet from the edge of parking to the property line.
Okay, anything else from the board that they would like to ask before we?
Yeah, I couldn't help but notice that the plan itself that I'm looking at was made between June/July. Well, I guess it was over about a year of a period of time, so I guess when I saw the June 11th, 2021, has this project been a work in process?
Yes.
Okay.
We've met with the building inspector a few times, and
Okay.
it's taken a while to finally get to this. There's been a number of redesigns. Like I said, originally they had garages in the front. I kind of suggested maybe put them in the back, because I know people have been opposed to seeing garages. So that was a redesign on that. We went back and forth on the plan. We tried to avoid variances as much as we could. But unfortunately, there's a couple that we do need.
Okay.
So I have a few questions. There is a newer build on Ferber, which I'm sure you're somewhat familiar with. The height of that in relation to this, are we talking similar height?
How tall is it gonna be?
We're not exceeding.
How many feet is it?
32 feet is to the ridge, so.
32?
I didn't,
This will be 32, Alexandria. I don't know what the other one is on Ferber.
okay, compared to other properties, because I'm not sure if you're aware, but the board ran into a new build that was done on Ferber that essentially towers the entire neighborhood. And I'm looking at this on paper, and I know what Ferber Ave looks like. And the homes there are smaller. And the new build that's on Ferber just completely washes them out. When I look at this, I'm basically seeing this is going to do the exact same thing throughout that entire neighborhood.
Yeah. Is that the one that was the nightmare? Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't.
And I'm sure the neighbors are having, PTSD from this. Because I can tell you right now, from my personal experience being on the board, when I saw that on paper and then I saw that bill, it took me a couple days to pick my jaw up off the ground. Because I was furious with myself. And I refused to make the same mistake twice. So when I look at this, one of my questions is, what's the height of the properties? And I understand this is something you're probably not going to have. What's the height of the other properties? The houses that this is going to be next to? Because this looks to me like it's going to tower.
again, I don't, Alexandria, you know I don't know the heights of the others, but I know what you're saying. And I was at some of those meetings representing other clients, and, yeah, I know, I hate to even, I won't say the name Ferber typically at a meeting, because I know you guys.
And again, I don't mean to, I understand what you're trying to do.
No, yeah, I
And
know.
I know that everybody always loves when, you're trying to update, make something look nice.
Yeah.
But in some ways, I sit here and say, are you asking for too much? Because, we have to think about that neighborhood.
Right.
And I feel, and this is just personally for me on the board, I tried to think about the neighborhood when we did that Ferber Ave, and I failed the neighborhood. And I am fully willing to admit that and would apologize to the entire neighborhood. So I will not make that same mistake twice. So my biggest thing is, what's the height of the houses that are around this compared to this? And like I said, I get that you don't have that, because it's possibly not something that would normally be asked. But I can't sit here and say yes to this without having that kind of information.
That's pretty easy to get, I would think.
So that's just where I stand on it. And I'm one person on a board.
So it might be easy to get, but it's not part of the packet that we're considering, or so
Well,
are we?
not
able to-
today.
Right.
We can try to
It's
get
not
that.
something that, it's not something that's part of the packet, but one of the things I look at, and if you take a look at Ferber Ave at some point, you will see a brand-new construction. And it was a property that there was much contention with. And
Yeah, no, I
sometimes
understand.
as board members.
Yeah, I was just trying to
And
clarify
so for
whether,
me,
if we could get that information quickly, if we could consider it now, or if we couldn't because it's not part of the packet. That's all, I understand what you're saying.
We can bring it in.
Well, and for
At a
me,
different time.
I sit here and say, they can close the meeting tonight. I can tell them right now they will get a no from me. Now, that might not matter if the rest of the board is going to vote yes. Or they can say, we'll wait until October, we'll get you that information. And that comes down to the applicant.
Can I ask, the other property you're talking about, what is the height on that one? Do we know? Do you know?
I think that's what she was
So
asking.
they didn't need a variance on that? Okay. All right, that's all, okay.
I will tell you, I don't recall if the variance, if they needed one on height. I mean, it's very something.
I don't believe
no.
they did. I think it was all setbacks, but that is, part of how
But I can tell
towering
you-
things can feel.
For me, I didn't take into consideration the way they were designing their attic. And how, and homes today are just built bigger, and I understand that and I appreciate that, but I don't think it's fair to a neighborhood to plop a brand-new modern house of this size in their neighborhood. I just don't think that's fair.
And I'm not even sure that the height is more an issue of the massiveness of the building itself, because really, they're not asking for a height restriction or a height variance, right? I mean, the code or the bylaw is 35 feet. So if they wanted to keep it within the setbacks and they wanted to build a 3-story, 35 feet tall, they have that right. That's not what they're asking for, I think. So I don't think the height is much as the issue as the width of it, right? The massiveness of it.
Well, it's sort of how they
I
all
mean,
fit together.
it is massive, but as the board, I think all of us, take collectively look at everything. So whether it's not just the setback, but, it's how, how wide and how the depth of it, and how it fits. A lot of it comes down to how does it fit in the neighborhood and whether or not that's beneficial to the neighborhood.
And, I mean.
Right, yes, and Alexandria, I hate to, I'm actually agreeing with you, that would be more the special permit. Doesn't fit into the neighborhood.
Well, and, I mean, I hate to be a broken record here, but I do think about the fact that you've got sort of a big building on one small portion of the lot, and then you've got another portion of the lot that's completely empty. And that unbalance, I think, does you no favors from a, approval of the neighbor's perspective, that I would be interested in hearing if the audience members, when you guys get the chance to come up, if you have thoughts of whether something that is, where the main building is smaller, but that there's then a small a garage in the other part of the lot, whether that would be better or worse for you. Because I'm genuinely interested to know what your feedback would be on that as well, and I'm sure it would be helpful to the applicants to understand how you view that balance.
So I heard the question about the height for this building, but I didn't hear what the architect said. Because the plan looks like it's 35
Please
feet.
come up to the podium and identify yourself, sir.
Yeah, so David Choi, architect. 35 feet to the peak when you measure it from the average grade, but 32 feet if you take it from the first floor to the peak line, if you just take the building measurement. So we're staying within the envelope. I understand the concern about the massing, and I don't know if you've seen that I've actually modeled the surrounding neighborhood in the computer, and just to give it a kind of context, I think one of the board members did mention it's the girth. I didn't use, you didn't use the word girth, but not the height, but the girth. So I do believe that, yeah, I mean, that is a subjective concern, and I could definitely work with those concerns and make it go away. I have girth, but I used to be very thin, so.
All right, I think this is a good opportunity, and we may have more questions later, but I think this is a good opportunity for folks from the community to come forward. Again, just because of the time constraints and things like that, I encourage everyone who wants to speak to come up. Try to keep your thoughts concise and try not to repeat things that others have said, because we appreciate that many of you share each other's thoughts. And so try to come up with new things to say. All right, thank you.
Good evening. My name is Michelle LaFondoucette. I live at 49 Upland Street, which is directly across from the vacant lot on Upland. I'm the last house on a dead end. My house is about 100 years old. It's a very unique property in that my driveway is to the right. My neighbors are here, actually, also. My driveway is to the right, and my front walk is sort of at the end of the street where the proposed egress that they want to develop is. Basically, it would be right across from my front walk. I don't have a connection from my driveway to my front door, so in the winter, I have to go out onto the street and then walk up, because of the old nature of the house, the front walk. Snow removal has always been an issue on this street, and that's even before this plan. This would be disastrous to the neighborhood in terms of the Upland Street proposal, in that I just don't think there would be, it's a safety reason. For one, there's a fire hydrant there, but secondly, when there is a storm, even a minor storm, they plow, and there's usually just a single lane at that point. And even now, it kind of snows me in, if you will. And so I have 3 children. 2 are adults, and 1 is a teenager, and they all drive. I only have a single-lane driveway with room for 2 cars. One of the cars generally pulls out front, so this proposal would definitely impact that ability for us to park out front. I know they're proposing a one-way egress from Ferber, I guess, or
Yeah, they would come in on Ferber. And
yes,
out on
but that's something that I don't think would be enforced. I mean, it looks like in the plan that they submitted, it was a 2-way. It looked like it had proposed traffic.
Well,
Right.
so there was a previous, they accidentally sent us a previous design that
Yes.
had 2-way, but I think their comment was that this is not something that they're gonna make.
Correct, but even assuming that, people will probably generally drive down and enter that way and exit that way. I mean, essentially what they're asking for is sort of an alley, if you will. And obviously, a lot of us on Upland are opposing it. I'll try and be brief with my arguments, but obviously one is the safety with the fire hydrant. There's a fire hydrant across the street, so you can only really park in front of my house. I don't know how they can pull out and make that turn in the best of conditions during this weather, never mind if there was a snowstorm. It's a dead end. There are lots of children on the street. I raise my children on the street. I know that my neighbors have small children on the street. There's a lot of cars on the street, and it's very narrow to begin with. And there's it's hard to park on both sides of the road as is. We also have, I know he's asking for a special permit, but I didn't hear that there was any specific hardship or what he was going to add to the community other than a huge building that would be sort of, it sounds like an eyesore. I know that the property has remained vacant, and I'm not opposed to him developing it. I realize it's his property, and obviously we want to make it a better place. But I think that he could achieve that with 2 units rather than 3. And then there would be room for egress out onto Ferber with a side driveway on both sides and avoid a rear driveway for Upland Street. That would generally render my house, it would definitely damage the value to my property, and it would also create major safety concerns with the snow, the ice, the roads, and the traffic. And one of the conditions, I think, for a special permit is that he needs to show that it improves the traffic and pedestrian flow, or he improves something, and he hasn't presented anything to that effect. With respect to the variance, he's looking for like over 8 feet, I think, request diverting from the...
Yeah, it's...
Yeah, he needs 10 and he's at 8.
Yeah, it's 6.8 feet for the driveway, and then a variance of 11.4 feet for the front setback.
So I guess to sum up my arguments, because I want to leave time for everyone else, but I think there are at least intrusive measures for Mr. Golis to develop this, and everybody could be satisfied, possibly with a 2 condominium unit, and then there would be room for them to enter and exit on Ferber Ave, which is the address of the property, and not on Upland Street, which essentially become like an alleyway. That's how I'm reading it. Plus, I honestly think that were he to sell these units, his buyers would then realize that they can't even turn out. It's in theory, it looks good on paper, but in reality, me having lived there 20 years in a snowstorm, I don't see how it's possible. So I'm in opposition to it. I know my neighbors would probably like to speak as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Kevin Craig, 39 Upland Street, 2 doors down from Michelle. To your point, I kind of second everything Michelle said. Certainly not opposed to developing the property, again, within their right to do it. I do have 2 small children on the street, probably the smallest, 7-year and 4-year-old girls. They're always outside playing around. They like to ride their bikes. I don't ideally want to see additional traffic on the street. It's more visually appealing to see the green space that we have over there now, even though it may be empty. I know you don't want to repeat, but the snow issue is considerable. It really is a one-way when they come down and plow it. The idea of bringing heavy equipment, the town does not do that. I've never seen heavy equipment on that street once. In fact, we've actually seen plow trucks get stuck on our street. It's a fun entertainment for my girls. They had to get a second plow truck with a chain to unwedge the first one. So I don't see how this improves that, because then there's really no place for the snow to go. So, but again, second everything Michelle said on my notes. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Hello, Alaperty, 43 Upland. We're right next door to Michelle. Again, don't want to repeat everything that was said, but snow removal is a huge issue. There's also a fire hydrant, as Michelle mentioned, across the street. That's going to be an issue. And this fundamentally changes our street. We moved there, part of the reason was it's a dead-end street. We moved in, our kids were 5 and 2. It was perfect for us. This changes it. I know it's just a driveway, but in essence, it does change it. It turns our dead-end street into not a dead-end street any longer, and that's, the biggest issue. Again, like Kevin and Michelle said, happy to see something go in across the street, but this just doesn't seem to be the right plan. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Matthew Desmond, 19 Upland. I want to thank you, the attorney, for saying that you don't really want to see 3 garages in the front of a house, but it's okay to put them in the back so we get to enjoy them. Excellent. I know you got to put them somewhere. I got it.
And I know that's from experience. Just, I know people, I've been here many times where people hate to see garages in the front.
Oh, I understand.
I'm going to let it fly this time, but you should be addressing us, and then we can address him with questions.
Okay, all right.
But thank you.
It's just that, what Michelle pointed out, and the snow down that end, I live toward the Prescott end, but the snow gets really, really piled up down there. The town doesn't come down and do anything about it. I don't know how Michelle deals with it. It's just that, not only that, but which is previously mentioned, the reason I moved on that street is because it was a dead-end street. I didn't have any kids at the time when I moved there. I gotta be the oldest there now. It's a nice, quiet street. We're gonna, basically, the car traffic, I'm looking at the parking in the back, and then you got a fairly wide driveway going to Upland. The people that park back there, they're gonna come out on Upland. They're not gonna go out in Ferber. I mean, that's what I would do. So they're gonna add 25% more traffic on our street, because there's only 12 houses in the street. They're adding 3 more units. It's gonna be probably 6 cars. I mean, there's gotta be a better way to design this, and all these, that's just my opinion.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Gotta stand up.
Hi, Dan Noon, 12 Upland Street. I won't repeat everything I heard, but I just want to make 2 major points. You're talking about a 3-unit building in preliminarily a 1-unit, 1 single-family home area. And I can't, to restate the traffic that's going to be going through there when this whole neighborhood is already going to be severely impacted by the Machine Shop Village project. So we're adding more traffic onto what was a dead-end street. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Kathleen Long. I'm 32 Ferber Avenue. So I agree with everything that my neighbors are saying. And I just want to challenge, why do we have to build to the lot? Why can't we build a unit or 2 units that fit into our neighborhood? I think it's just too big and it just doesn't fit in. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? Thank you.
Janisa Nunez, 27 Ferber Avenue. Just to add to everything that everybody has been saying, and I agree. I moved into Ferber 2 years ago because I was looking for a quiet neighborhood where my kids can be raised and they can enjoy playing with the neighborhood kids and all that stuff. So I'm just concerned, adding more properties, we barely have space to park on the street. We already have multiple units around the area with a lot of people in it that takes some space out of our, normal usage. So just consider. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you.
Betsy Cody, 116 High Street. I'm not an immediate butter, but I have Avalon in my backyard, and the cars and the cars and the cars. You're putting a 3-unit in. What is the max that can go in that property?
That's a
5.
good question. 5?
Or I don't know, that's what the special variance would be, right? Is it
Okay.
the 5?
I mean, how is the zone for currently? What's the max?
So the zoning, I believe, is, correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Building Inspector, is for 2 units without a special permit, right? That they can.
Well, see,
Currently a 2-family.
Okay, but if they tore it down and they build something new on that lot, they could build another 2-unit, right? So they could build 2 without a special permit.
Okay, so what I want to say as a citizen is, if it was 2 was there previously, why don't we just keep it at 2, fit into the neighborhood, less cars? My street is an absolute horror show. You go 50 miles an hour, I've complained to the police, I've complained, I have no curbing. Main Street's a disaster. Green people plant trees. I'm just, it just seems like you're not listening to us. In the neighborhood, I grew up there. I moved to Lowell for 10 years. I lived in a more dense neighborhood, but there were less cars than where I'm living now. And it just adds, you're just piling, and you come a point where you just keep putting everything up, and then it's gonna collapse. And I feel like we're collapsing.
All right, thank you. Is there anybody else? All right, thank you all. I mean, really, you guys did fantastic in terms of timing, and you guys all had a variety of things to say. I think you guys have a lot to think about. Is there anything you would like to respond to in the moment?
Well, I will say this, Michael, you started by saying, put the garages on Upland. I'm glad we didn't even do that, because, yeah, I think we'll look at it again and maybe come up with maybe something that the neighbors would be more in favor of. Maybe if we reduce it to 2, obviously I don't want to, promise, but maybe put the garages in the front and then we don't even use Upland at all. If people on Ferber don't mind seeing 2 garages, I don't know. So I think we'll just ask for a continuance.
All right, just before we get to that point, I just want to note for the record that there were also 3 emails that were sent in opposition. I think we can dispense with reading these aloud, but I do want to emphasize that they support a lot of the points that were brought forward, density, snow removal, height, those kinds of concerns. And so, yeah, so I think you guys know where the community stands, and I think you know what our concerns that we've expressed have been. Is there any more thoughts or questions? Please come up to the podium when you speak.
Sorry, I just have one quick question. I was going to oppose the continuance because if in fact he's interested in 2-unit, then that would be within the 2-unit.
Well, he might still come back with other variances.
I would ask for a vote now.
Well, he has the right to.
Well, he has the right to request it, and then it is our subjective decision whether or not we would want to grant the continuance. So I appreciate your input.
Thank you. I oppose it.
All right, is there any other questions from the board or comments from the board before we consider a continuance?
Nothing
Well,
from me.
I guess I was,
I just wanted to mention that there was one more email that came in, so.
Okay, one more additional email that just came in. Thank you for letting me know.
I guess just as like a procedural question, if we were to say, no, let's vote on it now, is there some sort of double jeopardy that attaches? Like, can they not bring it back?
They cannot bring it back,
Okay.
outside of an appeal to a court of law.
Gotcha.
But no, our decision would be final on this matter they could not bring it back for, I believe, 2 years is the limit there.
But he can pull it if he wants to, right, or.
Well, so he can request a poll. We do not have to grant it. So he can request that he withdraw, but then it is still our decision whether or not to withdraw. As a general matter, in most cases, we usually grant continuances and we usually grant withdrawals, but that is within our decision-making power as to how we want to consider it.
If the requested variances were significantly different, like they did a complete redesign, it was 2 units, but they still needed some variances, that still they could not bring that for 2 years, or if it's different, they could.
It gets into fuzzy territory there.
Okay.
We would then have to discuss whether or not we considered it sufficiently different.
Gotcha.
It gets really messy there. That is a place that I would rather not be. But
So, like, what the board does is they're giving them a chance. They get the feelings from the neighbor.
Right.
It's too big. Give them a chance. They redesign it. Let us all look at it, see what they go for variance. It's gonna be less. It might be more appealing. Give them the chance to come back. That's only an opinion. That, like
Yeah.
I said, we could say, not we, I'm sorry, you guys could say, no, we don't want it. but they're trying to improve the neighborhood, give them a chance to redesign this and go for it again.
The other option, thanks, Paul, is if we, it's gonna be 2 units. So we could continue the variances, but withdraw the special permit, because we won't need a special permit.
That is your prerogative, and also has to do with how certain you are that you wish to withdraw that one, because then you would have to go through the whole process of notifying everybody
Right.
again and things like that. So that is up to you.
Even about 2 units?
You have to come to the microphone, please.
Yeah.
First of all, my name is Hassan, I'm the owner of the property. First of all, I thank everyone here. I thank all the neighbor for the concern about the neighborhood and street, and I hear everything they're saying. And I'm willing to do, the reason we actually going for 3 units, we are a big family and we're moving from Riviera. We have kids, we want to put them in North Andover schools. But I will respect everyone come here tonight. Thank you all. And we respect your concern about your neighborhood, because we're gonna be part of this neighborhood. So we will present another drawing for 2 units side by side. At this time, we don't have to go, because I heard the gentleman, he was saying why we have to put the garages in the back of the building. This neighbor also in the back of the building. So I have to put the garages in the front or the back. In this case, we might gonna put just 2 garages in the front. With we take consideration to put the house to match in the neighborhood. So I'm not looking for anything very modern or away from the neighborhood. So I like to merge, I like to be within the neighborhood looks.
Yeah.
So I don't know what to do now. If it's a 2-family without special permit, I will go for it without just, because we've been waiting for too long to get this here tonight.
So I think you have a number of options in front of you. So one is that you could ask for a continuance on all 3, and then we can consider all 3 in a month, or if you decide that you no longer need 1 or more of those components, you can then withdraw those components and only consider the other ones. And you can wait for all of that until then, as long as we grant the continuance. Option 2 is that you can withdraw parts of it that you absolutely know you don't need. But then if you decide in a month that you need them again, you would have to then file a totally new request. And so you would have to you'd have to spend the money to notify all your neighbors and things like that. And the third option is that you decide what you know what you need right now, and you insist on a vote here. But I think that would be probably messy if you're gonna try to change the architectural plan and things like that. So I think that is probably out. I'm just laying out the total ground of your options in front of you.
I just want to leave the variance option open in case what the 2 units requires some variance.
Sure.
I don't know if it will.
Absolutely. No,
But if he's sure it's gonna be 2.
If you're absolutely sure it's gonna be 2, then you can withdraw that. If I were in your position, not that it's my job to give you advice or anything, but I would consider holding on to it and then withdrawing it next month when you come back in. But that's up to you, and also I'm only one vote on this board. And so if the board wants to really, say no to those things, then
I prefer to just continue the whole thing.
Yeah.
But I know that we've
So-
already had 1 opposed, even though.
Can I say something? Sure. As the architect for the project, I have listened very carefully, and especially on the matter of the height, matter of the girth. I hope that the next iteration of the design will be so quiet and so beautified with the landscape in the front and the back that will go away very quietly. That's my intention.
Sure.
I like that. I guess I just want to underline what I've heard a lot, which is practical concerns as well. Like, not just about how well it fits into the neighborhood, but also where do you put snow? Where do people drive? Where do people's kids play? Like, having a plan for where on the plot all of that goes, I think would go a long way towards helping everybody get there.
So,
But I do want to add, Laura, if we don't need any variances, we don't need a special permit, we might not need to be back here.
right, well, so if we grant you a continuance and you wish to withdraw those, we would ask that you still come for a few minutes at the beginning of the next meeting.
Oh, I've been here before to
and- yeah,
withdraw.
Okay, I just want to make sure, I know you've
He's
done that.
familiar with that process.
I just want to make clear to everybody also in the audience that would be a process that would still happen in public, and there would still be that. But yes, it is, that is a possibility.
The one thing I might add is, I drove the neighborhood and I did not see a lot of houses with garages. So, I mean, I'm not sure if a garage is a must for each unit, or a garage is a must for, at all, but. Yeah, so just throwing it out there, that's all.
Jim, you just got on the board, wait till so many people come in to put a garage up.
I'm not looking for any more business, I got plenty of business.
I think I saw
No,
a
you're
raised
not
hand
gonna
in the
build a
audience. Would you
garage.
like to come forward, please?
It's a very popular ask.
Melissa Purdy, I'm 43 Upland Street. I'm the second to last house on Upland. My question is, if you don't need a special variance, does that then take away the access you're looking for on Upland?
Correct, yeah, we wouldn't even touch up on them. It would probably be 2 garages in the front, and
So Upland would be taken off altogether? Okay.
Well,
The only reason we, I'm sorry.
I don't want to make any promises on their behalf. It would, but if they had no variances.
Right.
And they had no special permits that they were asking for, there would be nothing, no business for this board to do. Right.
Okay.
And so whether or not it goes on to Upland or not is if they structured it in a way that it met every requirement of the zoning, then we would not have anything to approve. If there is something in the plan that would be too close to the side, or, as this driveway very clearly is, that if there's anything that's too close to the side or anything like that, then they would have to come back here and it would be another public meeting.
Okay, so there is still a concern, potential concern.
We'll see what happens.
I don't know what their
Depending
plan
on
is.
their
I don't know
design.
if they know what their plan is.
And the reason Upland even came in was to avoid a 2-way driveway in and out, because it would have needed a bigger variance, but I don't think we'll even need it. I'm not the engineer, but, architect, but.
Because that would be the biggest concern, so I just want, that is just, it's not acceptable, and I'm hoping people are hearing that. It's just, it doesn't work, and unless you've been there and you've lived there for 15, 20 years like I have, I've lived in town, I've been born here, I've lived here my whole life, welcome to almost 50, so, yeah, it's not acceptable, and I think you guys, please consider that. This is a dead-end street for a reason. There's families on here, and I don't think you truly understand how narrow this road is. If we put a car, the width of the road, it barely fits. I mean, you're not gonna be able to get a car out, and when you have 2 cars on either side of the road, you can't get a third out. It's just not feasible. So I would really consider that. It is a concern, and it is a safety concern for the children and the babies on that street.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
I just want to let everybody, we're only gonna use Ferber Ave.
Okay.
For entrance, and so anybody have concern about the back street, we're not gonna use it.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, I think we've covered the ground that we need to cover. What is the request you would like to make of us?
I mean, if we can just continue the whole thing,
All right.
I mean, you've heard him,
Yep.
we're not coming back
All
to
right,
3.
I
think it's cleaner that way to just continue it.
Why don't we close the public comment? Do we have a motion to close the public comment?
I'll make a motion to close the public.
Do we?
I'll second it.
All right, and so public comment is closed, so we can deliberate among ourselves, and we can choose to open up public comment again if we so desire. Do folks feel comfortable with just continuing to next month?
Yeah.
Yes.
I do. I think, they presented their case, they heard the people, and let them do their thing, and.
All right, so with that, do we have a motion to continue?
Go ahead.
Make a motion to continue the public hearing.
All right, and now.
Second.
Second it.
Oh, to, what's the?
October 18th.
October 18th.
I'll second it.
You guys
Well,
have
wait,
to
wait,
have
wait,
plans
wait.
in time for October 18th is what they're gonna ask you.
Yeah, so.
There's no sense in doing that if you're not gonna be able to have that signed.
So what's the?
The other option would be to move to postpone it to November,
November 15th.
November 15th.
What's the absolute deadline for the?
You have to come to the microphone.
Yeah,
What is the absolute deadline for design submission for the October hearing?
September
Is it-
22nd.
So it's already passed. Okay,
I
so
don't, I'm a pretty good drawer, but I don't think I can draw that fast.
Can't go back in time.
all right, so for November 15th, it's October 20th. That's probably a better time to continue to. All right, so the motion to continue is to November 15th, so that is technically 2 months from this, a little less than 2 months. And Alexandria does not appear to be on the call. So who is voting? I guess it's all
Sorry, I
five
was
of
having
us.
technical difficulties.
Oh, okay, no, you are here. Okay, excellent. All right, so who is going to vote? Are we going to, so, well, we need 2 votes because Mr. Kusha is recused. So
Thanks, back to me, Jim.
Jim and Frank. Okay, so Jim and Frank. So Alexandria, why don't you start us off? Do you motion to continue?
Yeah.
All right. Frank?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
I'm a yes. So we are continued to November 15th. Thank you very much. And thank you very much.
Do we have to close the hearing?
All right, we have not closed the meeting yet, so please, folks, this meeting is not actually over, so if you guys can keep your voices down, that would be super helpful. Totally get it.
Exactly. I was surprised to see that.
That was my plan.
Yeah.
Taking a little while.
On the agenda, do we have it? I don't see it.
I didn't see anything else.
All right. I think that that wraps the agenda items. Mr. Kusha has departed, so I guess I'm stuck finishing this off. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion.
I will make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Seconded?
All right, seconded. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, everybody.